Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Penguins podcast, because I can speak English. I'm with my friends Sam McGinnis and Tommy Tangler. What's up, boys?
Hi. Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about our picks for the divisions and where the standings and all the good stuff.
Gonchar with a shot deflected in by Crosby. An amazing redirect gives the Penguins a 4-2.
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over.
Second time. And it's picked up by T.J. Watt with the play alive into the end zone to get low. Again, let's go to the goal. C.J. Crosby, the golden goal. Swing a high fly ball going deep left. They do it. Back to the wall goes down. It is over and over. The Pirates win. Heading up ice. Here he comes. Here he comes. Mario Lemieux. Hang on. He's not. Off his 30. Has time. Goes to the back of the end zone.
PPS Sports.
All right. Where are we going to start, boys?
You want to start with the Metro? Since you're going to be completely
Penguins,
biased.
Let's go Penguins. I mean, we got to start or end with Metro. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm good with starting.
Tommy?
Tom?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have my standings pulled up in a tier list form where I just have it team by team where I think they're going to end. And yes, I do think there's going to be one team from every division for the wild card. So for Metro, I have starting with the Carolina Hurricanes with similar season what they had. I think the Penguins will improve slightly after. So I have a very weird opinion on the Penguins this upcoming season. I think if we lose Malkin, it might be better for the Penguins organization because we can start a rebuild a little sooner because we'll get somebody younger. So that's helpful. So I think we could improve.
The Penguins rebuild is coming, by the way. It's
And
not
it's gonna happen.
not next season, but give it 5 years and
It'll
we're screwed.
happen. It'll happen. Then I have the Rangers, followed by the Islanders because improvement. They're not going to be bad forever. Then I have the Capitals, who I think will fall off a little bit because Backstrom's going to be hurt for a while. So I think they'll probably fall off a bit. Then we have the Blue Jackets, Devils, and Flyers to wrap up the bottom. So yeah, I have the Hurricanes making the playoffs. Steelers. Yeah, wrong podcast. Penguins making the playoffs, and Rangers making the playoffs, and then Islanders making the wild card. Who wants to go next?
I'll hit it. So I saw the Rangers this past season, and I think the playoffs proved that they have a bit of resiliency.
Yeah.
Because, being down multiple games in multiple series and coming back to win them both.
Screw the Rangers.
Somebody's salty.
Yeah.
So I honestly think the Rangers will continue to take the next step. They're out of their rebuild now, and now it's just a matter of fulfilling their potential. I think they'll move up to first, and I think the Canes will follow them. So the Canes are good, but my problem with them is they have a ceiling. And they have not been able to break out of it since they have made the playoffs as of late. Like, I
Correct.
believe back in 2018 was the first time with this core they made the playoffs. And that was the furthest they got in the playoffs since then. That was the third round. They faced Boston, and they got destroyed. Actually, it was 2019. Since then, they've not made it back to the third round, and they just seem to have a ceiling, a limit. So I'm putting them at 2. Pens are still good. They still got talent. But they are in the beginning stages of falling off. They have been for the last couple seasons. There's a reason they haven't won a playoff series since 2018.
We should have.
But then, everybody on the roster got injured, and then, of course, Jari Glovehand yet again. Yes, Jari Glovehand yet again in Game 7.
I don't know what else you could do there, but
Be better?
That's a different conversation.
You
Let's
could be
continue.
better.
Let's continue.
And then after that, the Caps are even in a worse situation, I think, than the Pens. So the Caps have Ovechkin, who's eating up a lot of their cap space. But outside of that, their team is injured. It's starting to fall off. It still has enough talent, I think, to more than likely help them make the playoffs. But they'll be a wild card again, and I think within the next few years they'll miss the playoffs entirely. It just depends on their situation and if they start turning things around. The only sort of young player I have a lot of faith in right now on that roster is maybe it's maybe Anthony there, but outside of him, former Red Wing, I don't see much of it. Anthony Mantha, that is. Let's see here, who I got next in this mess. The Jackets. So I actually kind of like the Jackets. Intrigue me a little bit. They also seem to have a ceiling. It seems to be a bit lower than the Canes, though. But I think they'll continue to get better this season. The Islanders, on the other hand, I'm actually putting here at number 6. Unlike Ethan here, I almost called you Anthony. Unlike Ethan here, yes, that's why it was funny. I think without Barry Trotz, with him moving on and taking a season off, Barry Trotz was the reason this organization was good in the first place. They were absolute garbage before he got there. They've been good since he's been there. I think he'll take the success with him. Flyers are just a hot mess that don't know what they want to be. Can't get any defense to help Carter Hart out at all. And, of course, now Carter Hart's a mess just because he's had no defense for a very long time now. And I rounded off with the Devils, who will continue to be terrible because of horrible management.
Yeah. Tommy?
Horrible management will do it to you. I don't know what else to tell you.
Mine is a little bit of a hot take. Because I have the Rangers number 1, and then the Canes right behind them. And then I have the Blue Jackets next. I think it's a very, very good young team.
They don't even have Domi, but okay.
Right, but very good young team.
That's one player.
Right. They have so many good players. I think that if they improve, they could be a B plus team, B minus, somewhere around there, somewhere in the B's. I think they'll be good. And then we got I have the Caps. I mean, Ovi. Like, Ovi's just overpowered. Next, I have the Penguins. They're good.
There's a but in that sentence.
Got it. They're good. They're not great, or they're not going to be great, but they're going to be good.
Tristan Jarry, club hand will, of course, let them down at some point again.
And people will be injured at some point. So they're not going to be phenomenal. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be good. They're at least going to make the playoffs. Unless the Islanders, who's right behind them, can absolutely destroy them. I think the Penguins and Islanders will fight off between each other a lot, and I think it's going to be very close between them.
Your faith in the Blue Jackets is questionable. But go ahead, keep going.
It is.
Keep going.
But
keep
Your
going.
faith in the Penguins can be questionable as well.
To be fair, though, I'm not saying that I think a team's going to develop. I think my team's already there. They just keep underachieving.
Well,
So the difference in my mind is you have the Blue Jackets overachieving, whereas the Penguins. I mean, yes, I'm overanalyzing them because I'm overestimating them because I'm a biased fan. But I would say you're saying that the Blue Jackets you're trying to overestimate and underestimate. You're hoping they overachieve versus the Penguins underachieving. That's kind of what I'm saying.
That's fair, but I also can see the Blue Jackets and Capitals flip-flopping. But I do see CBJ besting the Penguins.
That's fair.
I think CBJ will at least be better than the Penguins.
I disagree, but we'll see.
the only reason I disagree with that is because every time that you can see the potential and you can see all that, but they're just meh. And
That's
they continue
true.
to be meh, and they have been pretty much since I've moved to Ohio, and they're not taking that next step. I don't think. I think they're just gonna kind of hover around there with all the potential, and none of the grabbing at it. But continue.
I can see that.
We're not going to talk about the fact the Penguins won all 3 games against the Blue Jackets last year.
You know the best part about that is it means nothing because we've had that happen against teams that have then beaten the other team in the playoffs.
Well, okay, sure, but
The regular season, I think, is very irrelevant as to team versus team as much as it is just the number of wins you have and how you did just in general.
So here's my reasoning. Mainly, I see the Penguins regressing.
Which is fair.
I see only the CBJ progressing. So I think the CBJ will even if they still stay in that meh area, but they still improve, I think they're at least going to beat out the Penguins.
Well, and you don't have to be phenomenal to make the playoffs either.
Right.
You just have to be in the top half.
Yeah, which I think they will be.
Which I could see happening. I think they'll be around 500 or sub 500, somewhere around there.
I think they'll be above 500. Like, either just barely or...
It'll be right around there, I think.
Yeah.
Regardless. Who you got at 7 there?
So, there's the Penguins, Islanders, and then after that, it drops down just a little bit.
He's like, it goes down a hot...
just a tad.
Just a tiny bit.
Just a tad.
Just,
10 games.
just a little bit with the Flyers and Devils, all the way at the bottom.
We already talked about managerial issues with them.
Yeah, I think the Flyers will be a solid bottom F tier, and then the Devils are just going to be the bottom of complete failures.
Can we please get Carter Hart to another team? He's one of the better goalies in the NHL being wasted on a roster that doesn't have defense.
Yes.
Barry Trotz for the win. No, not Barry Trotz. What's his name? Torts. I was still thinking of. Wrong name.
That's... Torts? I can't with Torts, man. I have had multiple podcast segments with the Grueling Truth just saying about
Torts.
how I don't like Tortorella, and he's also the reason they were having issues at one point. So,
Fair is fair.
all right, we want to move on to the Atlantic, and we how about this though? We move one team at a time so we can kind of discuss it.
All right. Top of the league. Sure. Toronto.
Ooh, I have the Panthers still.
I have Tampa.
That's fair.
My thing with Tampa is even during the Stanley Cup wins, they weren't top of the division, so I just don't think they'll be top of the division. I think they can win Stanley Cup next year easily, but I just don't think they're going to be the top.
Please,
That's-
No, I don't want them to.
Please,
Don't get me
no.
wrong. I don't want them to.
I know I don't want the heck. I picked them to win last time, and I was happy that I was wrong.
Right.
We had entire conversations about it.
The way I kind of set mine up wasn't if they were going to be top of division. I more put the A tier for if I can see them winning the Stanley Cup.
That's fair.
So I think out of the Atlantic Division, I can see Tampa Bay having the biggest shot at the Stanley Cup.
Toronto lose first round, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The real question is, there is a serious potential right now for Toronto's in kind of a weird place because they're in a bit of limbo. They've had many years in a row now where they've lost in the first round, and so somebody's going to move something around. And if they don't, they're morons. But besides that, there's a potential for significant shakeup in that organization. So the question is, will they be able to get to the first spot? I don't think so, because it just depends on what they move and if everybody's going to be comfortable. Obviously, there's still going to be that entire chip on their shoulder, but we'll see.
All right. Second place, I have the Panthers. Sam?
I have the Lightning. I see them as being pretty good again. I just have I wanted them to drop off more because I see where yours is, but there's too much talent on the roster, I think, for that to happen.
Fair.
Tom?
I had the Panthers. Yeah,
That's fair.
Like I said, I put it in like a Stanley Cup vision. I see Tampa Bay, the Lightning having the real shot, and then Panthers right behind.
Well, yeah, and I think that's fair because my problem with the Panthers is goaltending or
Right.
or defense.
Bobrovsky was good, but
what? Not good enough for the contract he ever signed.
right,
Which
he's
now
being
he's not even
way
he's not
overpaid.
even going to be a Panther anymore at the end of the next season, and I just
yeah, no, I'm with you. I just Panthers second. They're not going to be the President's Trophy team they were last year. I think their window was last year, and then they flopped round 2. So,
Yep.
Third place, I got Boston. So this kind of goes against what I said for the Capitals, but I don't know. I don't know. You could flip flop Boston and Tampa, and I wouldn't argue it at all.
yeah.
I think after Boston and Tampa, the rest of that division just drops off.
Boston's team is old as dirt.
Right.
Which is they're starting to fall off. They're even, I would say, potentially they're about where the Pens are. I would say right about now, they're starting to fall apart. They just lost their best goalie to
I would
Rask.
say maybe they're a year ahead of the Penguins.
A year ahead.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so,
I would say they're either a year behind or a year ahead. They're both right around the same spot.
Right.
Yeah, so the problem you'll find, I think, what's going to end up happening in this division, long-term future talking, is I think the Red Wings and Bruins will end up flipping.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be an opening in that division. It's not going to be the Leafs because they're still relatively young. The Panthers are still going to be solid for a long time. Tampa's probably going to be solid for a few more years, at least. So the only spot that's going to open up is going to be Bruins are going to kind of fall apart here in a few years, and the Red Wings will take their place. But I think for now, for me, for third place, I'm going to have to go with then Leafs, then Bruins, instead of Bruins and then Leafs.
See, I think all four of ours is the top four is the same, just different orders.
Well, the problem is right now for the next couple years, there's going to be change on its way like the Red Wings, but I think for the next couple years, the top four in every division is going to be roughly the same.
Yeah.
Give or take a little bit, yeah. I mean, I think top five for most divisions will be the same for at least three of them.
Top five, I have changing in a couple, but
right. Tommy.
My third is Leafs.
And then what's your fourth? We both talked about our fourth.
Fourth is Boston.
Okay, figures.
So.
We all have the same top four, just different orders.
yeah.
I mean,
I want to hear the logic behind. I don't even necessarily dislike this just because I hate the Lightning so much. But why are the Lightning fourth on yours?
Not a lot to it. I don't think Boston will have a terrible year. They're a decent team overall. They still have Patrice Bergeron. As long as he doesn't retire. I know Brad Marchand's gonna be out for a while, but I think he will be back eventually. So as long as they still have the main core, so it's the same argument for Penguins. They still have the main core. Yes, should they just give up and rebuild? Probably.
Yes.
But
yes, is the answer.
Teams are going to hang on to. Old players aren't going to want to go into a rebuild. So if you tell Bergeron we're going to do a rebuild, Bergeron's going to say either trade or retire. He's not going to want to go through a rebuild. Same thing with, say, Sid. I don't think Sid would do that, but Sid probably retire. And so it's just like these teams don't want to give up, so I think maybe they'll have a boosted season this upcoming year. I mean, same thing for the Penguins. So I don't have an issue with Lightning. It's just they don't have any superstars. So it's weird that
Vasilevsky.
Okay, aside from that, no,
Stamkos,
Braden
Point. Their entire team is stars. Hedman.
Okay, I'm not saying they don't have any stars at all. I'm saying they don't have that top of the league best players that you would consider.
I just need
except
five.
Except Vasilevsky. Don't say
Hedman, the Norris Trophy winner multiple times.
I don't think he's that superstar personality.
Kucherov?
Personality.
Yes, because hockey has everything to do with personality.
You can tell me I'm wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong. I could be dead wrong, but
you're very dead wrong.
They've been a average team that wins in the playoffs because Vasilevsky's great.
Okay,
that's my opinion.
Okay, so I don't know on what planet being first in the division or second in the division multiple times in a row makes you average.
They weren't first.
This last season alone, yes,
they were third.
And third isn't average. First off, second off, before that, when
so what's the Penguins? A team that's good that loses in the playoffs. I'm saying the Rangers are not Rangers. The Lightning are the opposite. They're solid in the season, but they're great in the playoffs. The Penguins are solid in the regular season and terrible in the playoffs.
I think your problem is you're just going based off of 1 year being last year.
That's part of it.
Which is fair. You're still new, but. Yeah, no. Before that, they were winning. For instance, when CBJ beat them in the playoffs a few years back, they literally set they tied the all-time record with the Red Wings for most wins in a season.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's fair.
Which, of course, yeah, that's not your fault, obviously, because still new. But
anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. We want to go to
Wings of 5.
Yes, we have.
We're not done with the division.
I completely forgot. I have Wings at 5-2. I think they'll take a step forward, and I think the year after or the year after that they'll be making the playoffs. It'll be within 2 or 3 years.
When either Florida or
I think the Bruins will fall off
Boston
in 2 or 3 years.
And I think Red Wings will take over.
The Red Wings, yeah. I think pretty much the entire league sees this coming.
We're all on the same page.
It's not just us because. Everybody's just waiting for their Wings to come out, and they see that it's Yzerman, and they saw what he did with Tampa, and we can see what Tampa is now. It's a matter of time, and then we're starting to see the Bruins shake up. So obviously, you're seeing that potential in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Red Wings will be
Improved.
Yes.
yes.
All right, let's go for number 6. I think that is.
Senators at 6 for me.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So for those of you who don't know, Eugene Melnick died actually pretty young. He was the owner of the team. He was a lot of the reason they were being held back. It's still sad that he died, but now that I'm thinking about it, they actually do have a chance for a little bit of improvement with some new ownership in there. But I'm actually putting the Sabres at 6. They're still gonna suck because they're the Sabres. But
Fair.
it's just a matter of who you think is gonna suck more in this bottom 3.
Yeah, I also have the Sabres at 6.
Well, I got Saves at 7.
Again, which
These
wouldn't be
bottom
surprised.
3
Yeah, they
are...
could be exchanged in any order you really feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like the top 4 can be reordered. Detroit's going to get 5th, and then the bottom 3 can be reordered.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
I have Canadians at 7 and the Senators at 8.
I have Canadians at 8, Buffalo at 7, and Ottawa at 6.
Yeah, I got Senators at 7 and Canadiens at 8.
All right.
The old glorious big head Canadians who can't win.
Exactly.
We want to move on to Central then?
Yeah.
Let's switch up the order though. Tom, you
Alright.
want to go first?
Avs.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Avs.
If somebody doesn't have abs out there, I need a really good reason.
Yeah, for number. Yeah, they're gonna win. They're gonna win the division. They're probably gonna win at least one round in the playoffs. Maybe
they'll
lose
win
round 2.
1 or 2, yeah, at least.
Maybe-
They'll win anywhere from like 1 to 4.
4. Yeah. Maybe lose round 2 in the playoffs like they usually do. Anyway,
Stanley Cup champions, okay.
I said
Yeah.
usually. This year's the exception. There can be exceptions to the rules. Come on.
There can, and they did lose. If they had lost again in the second round this year, they would very much feel like the Capitals starting back when they couldn't win in the second round ever and lost to the Pens consecutively,
Yeah.
which I'm sure
Oh,
makes you very
that's
happy.
a good point. I guess I need the Capitals in the playoffs so we can beat them, because every time we beat them, we win the cup. So yeah, we need the Capitals in the playoffs. All right, moving on. Second place, we have the Wild.
Yeah.
I have the Blues actually, so the Wild I have a couple issues with, but we'll get to that in a second. The Blues have good veterans on their team. I trust O'Reilly; he's a good leader.
Oh,
Go
ahead.
The real question I have is with Jordan Binnington. If he ends up being himself again, then they definitely have a chance at this, and we're gonna assume he does,
Tommy.
for the sake of the argument.
I have the Wild.
Honestly, I just had a thought. I forgot about the Kirill Kaprizov situation. So
He resigned.
No, not that. The
Oh yes,
Russia situation.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he'll
So
be
if-
back. He'll be back.
I assume he'll be back, but if that does fall through, that changes his entire list. So
This feels a lot like the Artemi Panarin accused of assault and had to go back to Russia.
and then I don't know what happened there because I'm too new to this. But
So nobody, I don't think, ever actually found out what happened. All his teammates, of course, were like, "That's absurdity." But of course,
Right.
why would you not?
no,
They're all Russian teammates. There's
just
nothing that can be
Chris
trusted.
Kreider
about
comes
it.
out like, no, he did it.
Well, it was.
That was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. Chris Kreider, don't sue me.
It's alleged that while he was in Russia, he assaulted somebody, and of course, all his Russian teammates were like, "No, that's stupid." But
Yeah,
then,
right.
of course, again, it's Russia, so like
That's Russia.
you. Of course, it's also Artemi Panarin, and he does not seem like a super aggressive person. But again, you never know
You never
somebody.
know.
So,
Yeah. So
who
I don't know
knows?
what'll happen there, but assuming that everything stays the same.
Yeah, we're gonna assume that it does because I
Right.
think that's actually the most likely situation. I have the Wild at 3. I think we're starting to see some of the issues of the Wild come out, and I think we saw that last season in the playoffs. They need more depth, and they need to be more solid on the areas. They need to be less inconsistent.
They resigned Flower.
Again, this is a problem. Talk about inconsistency. The
Hey.
Flower is inconsistency defined right now. His career is phenomenal. But in the
it'll
last
be, it'll be
5
interesting
seasons,
to see
it's
how
been
Flower
nothing
does.
but inconsistency.
It'll be interesting to see how Flower does.
Minus
That's
1 season. where
all
he
I
won
have
the
to
Vezina.
say. I at 3. Oh, Tommy, you want to say something? You got anything?
Blues.
3 Blues. You got Blues at 3. That's fair.
Blues.
I got Predators stepping it up a notch to 3.
That I actually see. So the Predators changed. So they had their core back in 2017, who lost to the Pens, and they kind of fell off a little bit. But now they've kind of got a little bit of a new core with some of the old faces as well. I think it's reasonable to say they could take it up a notch. So I actually like that pick.
And then at 4, I had the Blues.
I have the Preds at 4.
I also have the Preds at 4.
So again, it's the top 4. You just shuffle.
That's what I'm saying.
This is where it
year
gets
isn't
interesting.
normal. This
Number
year-
5. Do we all have the Stars?
We do not all have the Stars.
Ooh.
I have the Jets. And this has nothing to do with the Jets,
That's
really.
like-
This has purely to do with the fact that I don't trust the Stars,
Oh, okay, fair.
which is sad. I feel bad for Jake Ottinger playing like a god. Like, this is the consistent story: is their goaltenders play like gods, but because they can't score, they end up losing. I think the Stars kind of gave it what they had. But the real question is they have a potential for a lot here because they've got those new young guys, but the division is also stacked, and they have a tendency to come back down to earth at times. So I'm going to say that this season, I don't know about seasons coming up, but I'm going to say this season they're going to come back down to earth for one season.
In my opinion, I think the West is a lot stronger than the East.
So it depends on how you look at it. So I would say as for top tier teams, I would say minus the Avs, the East is better. Mm-hmm. And I would say prior, the East has been tougher divisionally. I would say the Atlantic definitely isn't as tough as the Central. The West isn't really that tough. The Atlantic, obviously, I just talked about that. Metro is pretty darn tough. I have a problem seeing it now. I'm saying the future it could be tougher, but right now I'm going to stick with the East on that one.
The reason I said that the West is stronger than the East is just I'm looking at my list and I can see 6, 5, so 11 teams in the West that could make the playoffs next year. Whereas with the East, I see only 9 that are really going to be. Well, I guess maybe a 10th, but in my opinion, anyway. All right, moving on. 6, I have the Jets.
Let's see here. I moved my thing up. I have the Stars. That's the step back, I think. But they've got enough talent that they definitely won't be 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I got the Jets.
All right, and then 7th, I had the Blackhawks.
I got Hawks and then Yotes.
Yeah, I'm going to have with the Yotes.
Yeah, Blackhawks and Yotes.
So the Yotes, by the way, are about to play in a 5,000-seat arena that's not even there.
That'll be interesting.
The
ASU deal, yeah.
It is a soccer stadium, folks.
And finally,
we got the West. I think this is where we could have some difference.
Yeah, this will be really interesting.
The West is the only one I feel like is a little up for air.
So at first, I got Oilers.
I got Golden Knights.
Oh, really?
So here's my logic. The Golden Knights had a bad season. Who doesn't have a bad season? They easily have the most talent across the roster on the entire in the entire West. The Oilers have the best top tier talent, but again, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is going to be the conversation. Here's my problem. Here's my problem with the Oilers. It has been for years and will continue to be. And it's actually 2. 1, and this is the most important one they still haven't really addressed. The Oilers have no depth whatsoever.
Yeah.
The Oilers, literally, their top 2 players, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, were over 100 in points. Do you want to know what the next person on the list, what the points were for the next person on the list?
I want to say it was like 60-something.
It was 54.
Okay, I was close. I knew it was a huge drop-off.
That is a 50-point difference in the next player on the list.
I knew it was a huge drop-off. I couldn't remember who it was, but yeah.
That is not acceptable.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they go after a bunch of.
If I've said this for years, and I will continue to say it.
it.
If they don't go after depth, they will continue either missing the playoffs as they have in the past, or they will continue not being able to even come close to winning a Stanley Cup. It's just how it is. You've got to have depth to win in the playoffs. The only reason they did this time is because they ran into an LA team that really shouldn't have been in the playoffs in the first place, and the Flames pooped on themselves.
That's fair. But, I got one rebuttal to that. Connor McJesus. All right,
here's the thing.
That's all I have to say, and that's my whole argument.
Connor McJesus did not save them when they couldn't make the playoffs, despite him winning the Hart Trophy, which is the MVP multiple times. Mm-hmm. He couldn't save them in the playoffs when they ran into a real team. He will continue not being able to, because I can tell you, personally, I play hockey. It is a team sport. There's a reason our team for today, for our charity game, has a full team and not a few players. I cannot carry a team. No individual player can carry a team to a championship. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Except for maybe a goaltender.
I was going to say, tell it
Maybe.
to Vasilevsky, but okay.
Again, their entire team is freaking stacked. It's not just Vasi.
Yeah.
I'm
You're wrong
You're
still.
yeah, you're still wrong.
I know. I was trying to see if I could get a reaction. And
That's
guess
what
I
that
did.
was.
All right. Second place, I got Calgary.
I didn't even do
Oh,
that.
He's
oh,
got
Tom-
first place.
Tom-
You're ignoring.
Flames.
Yeah. Oh,
I have
really?
Flames, yeah.
Starting with Calgary.
Yeah, I have Calgary at first.
You got 3 different teams, right?
Yeah,
This is the first time I think that's happened. in this
I think
venue.
Calgary's going to be good.
No.
They've got a lot of good players. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get to y'all are gonna love where I put them.
What about Johnny Gaudreau possibly not being a Flame?
That'll be interesting. That's one of the few players who are major stars who I think could move. Actually,
That's my biggest thing for why they're not first.
is the
Is Johnny Gaudreau
uncertainty
not being
of
there,
Johnny,
yeah.
Johnny Gaudreau. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have Oilers at 2. Again, very high-end
Same.
talent. Their division isn't super difficult, but they will get destroyed in the playoffs, whether it be in the first or second round.
I got Calgary at 2. And yeah, my only thing with them is just how big of a difference is not having Johnny Gaudreau going to be.
Yeah. Again, it's fair. It depends on whether he re-signs, of course.
Right.
Tom?
I have a pretty huge drop off at this point. But so I have, Calgary, Oilers, and then I believe I have it as the Kings, the LA Kings next. So, but it's a pretty huge drop off in my tier list for where the Kings are.
Yeah, bottom of C.
Yeah, bottom of C.
Okay, so I have the Kings at 3, but
That's what I have
my
them.
logic is different as to Tom's here. They are coming out of their rebuild. They have an easy division to do it in, which is a positive for them. I think they'll continue to improve next season. I think they'll take a decent jump, but not a massive jump. Now, granted, this doesn't necessarily mean wins, because their wins were deceptive last year. They were not that good at all. They were a okay team that made the playoffs because their division is garbage.
I saw them play, and they beat the Pens when I saw them play. But
Maybe that says something more about the Pens.
I was going to say, yeah.
But at the same
that's
time,
Pens.
I never really compare one win or even a set of wins because
Right.
it's the NHL, and just like the MLB, that way anybody can beat anybody in the regular season. The playoffs are more of a determiner of that kind of thing. So yeah, I have the Kings at 3. You had the Kings at 3.
Number 3 King.
Number 4 is going to be interesting. Let's start with you, Ethan.
I got the Golden Knights.
Most talent in the division, they're going to be 4th.
They didn't make the playoffs with the most talent in the division.
They
last
were
year.
also super injured, and also everybody has a down year at some point.
I'm not. 4th place is possible. That's all I'm saying.
Technically, anything is, yes.
I
Exactly.
have the Ducks.
That's not that unreasonable.
I have the Ducks at 7.
That's not that unreasonable. Very similar, and I was just going to save this because I have the Ducks at 5th. The reason it's not that unreasonable is because for a large portion of last season, they were in like 2nd and 3rd place.
Yeah.
And the reason they were is because they've got a new young team. They've got Trevor Zegras. They got a lot of good young players. The real question is whether they take the next step. I'm assuming they take a decent one, but not a big one. But my 4th is actually the Flames. They are so weird. A few years back, they won the division. Since that time, they've been bad, and then they won the division again. I'm assuming
they're going back to bad?
I'm assuming that this is just going to be a trend with them. They seem to be generally underachieving. This is one of the few years they actually achieved what they have the possibility of, and I don't think they'll continue to do it. I think they will go back to what they normally do.
All right, fair is fair. 5.
I already said mine.
I can see it flip-flopping between these, so I'll say my 5 and 6.
All right.
5 is Sharks, and 6 is Knights. But again, I can see them totally flip-flopping.
All right. That's something.
I think the Sharks is far more possible than the Knights there. I think the Knights will make the playoffs.
I have the Canucks at 5.
Also fair.
They were half a step out of the playoffs this a little more than that at the end, but they were out of the playoffs by not that much. So
Well, they still got a lot of good young players.
Mm-hmm.
They're just having other issues going on right now.
right. I think they could make that next step if they really tried. So I think they're still not quite there, but they could get there. 6, I have Seattle because I think they're gonna take a step up because one, you're building after an expansion team. You're building a squad trying to see if you can get them to play together. It's a whole bunch of players who likely haven't ever played together, and so after a year you might be better off. Go ahead.
I want to roast the Kraken here.
Oh, say what you're gonna say.
Real quick. This is relevant to what you're saying right now. Why on earth did you not just succeed in year 1 when you had the possibility? There were so many players, and they literally chose to suck year 1 when they were doing the expansion draft. There were many good players on the board they could have taken, and they just didn't take them.
Yeah.
I don't understand the logic of just wanting to lose year 1. But yeah, to all the Kraken fans out there, I hope this isn't a trend for you, or you got screwed over.
Shane Wright at 4 was a good pick.
What were we on?
7.
7. I have the Canucks.
Canucks.
They probably should be better than that. I should probably flip the Sharks and the Canucks, but it's either way for me on that.
Yeah, I have Canucks at 7. I just don't really see them as a great team. So I think they're going to be the bottom of my D tier. I think. I kind of see them on the same level as the Red Wings right now. I think they have a possibility of a good future. Right now, this upcoming season, I think they're going to suck, though.
Mm-hmm.
They've got more current talent than the Red Wings do, but they're just such a mess.
Yeah.
That's where I have the Ducks.
Fair.
I don't have much else to say about it. I think,
which is also fair. I think it's 100% possible that
they were heavy sellers, and so that's just put them a step behind. So
fair is fair.
They got good picks for it, though. Ricard Raquel.
I mean, we got Ricard Raquel.
I know. I said
they got a second and Zach Aston Reese.
They got a good pick for it.
That's fair. I don't know if they're going to be there this year, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's really my thought. Because you're right. We gave him a prospect, Zach Aston Reese, and a second. All could be really good players. I just don't think any of those players are going to be there this season. And then last but not least, I have the Sharks. I just think
the Sharks are a gigantic mess. So
yes, that's exactly
They do have talent, but
they're just a mess.
They managerially and within the players, they're a gigantic mess, and they've got a whole bunch of overrated players like Erik Karlsson,
and
they're not fulfilled his potential really about 1 or 2 years out of his contract.
They're at the point that the Pens are going to be next for the next couple of years, where they should just rebuild,
but they're just not going to.
They keep holding on to.
This is really interesting. We have an interesting set. The Blackhawks are where the Pens and several other teams, including them, are going to be in just a few years.
And the Blackhawks are finally going for it.
Well, the Blackhawks still have a few decent players. And they tried retooling. It didn't really work. And so now they're in a full rebuild, but those good players are still going to be with them. Mm-hmm. And when they get out of the rebuild, those players are going to have just a few years left to try and to get one more cup. And I think it'll be very similar with some of these teams.
Yeah.
I'm with that. All right, what you got, Tommy?
It's a pretty big drop off, just a little bit
to the Kraken there.
To the Kraken,
the garbage organization that decided to shoot itself in the foot and hire a coach that is not a good coach.
Well, I think I know why they decided to call themselves the Kraken. Because they cracking under the pressure, baby. They suck.
They are garbage and a half. Also, what kind of a hire was Ryan Hextall? You saw him in Philadelphia screw everything up there, and then you're like, I've got an idea. He has no other, head coaching experience. Let's make him the coach. Yeah. Let's make him the coach of a group that's already gonna be bad.
Right.
It's tanking before you need to tank. There was no reason for it. Absolutely none. Which is why I now have zero trust in the Kraken organization. It's still early and they could turn it around, but come on, dude.
Are you taking Kraken at 8-2? Is that what your pick was?
Yes.
Right. President's Trophy, who gets it?
Which trophy is that?
That's most points.
Oh.
I'm going to say Rangers.
Really? Okay.
It's either going to be the Rangers or the Avs. I'll actually say Avs and then Rangers. Just because the Avs, and they really should win the cup, the Avs, but it's just hard to say back to back.
Right.
I think it'll either be the Lightning or the Panthers.
I'm taking Avs, hands down. There's no question asked. Avs will win the Presidents.
Thursday.
Worst record.
Let me look again at the teams I got at the bottom here.
I think it'll either be the Yotes or the Kraken. But I could also see the Devils.
I'm going to say the
bottom.
Coyotes. They're moving to a 5,000 seat
Yeah.
stadium, which is already
Yeah.
going to be demoralizing, and the team's already destroyed.
Phil Kessel.
They're done.
Yeah.
Phil Kessel will carry that team to the last
Phil
place.
Kessel, get out of there. It's more like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yo's worst team. Maybe the Flyers. But, yeah. I got no faith.
They'll at least beat the Penguins once.
Oh, they will. No, I don't doubt
Hey.
that.
Fun random fact.
I think I split the Penguin series with them.
Yeah, don't be a decent team and then miss the playoffs because you lost to a good team. Everybody, like the Canadians, missed the playoffs a few seasons ago because guess how many times they lost to the Red Wings when the Red Wings were total trash? They lost to them all 4 times, and that was the point difference. Don't lose to bad teams, folks.
Record prediction for the Red Wings? Any idea?
I think they'll have
Just an estimate. You don't need like 32, 14, whatever.
Well, I was just
give
going
me
to
a
say
rough
it'll
estimate.
be somewhere in the lower or mid 30s, but I think that, again they'll step up to 5th place. I think it'll be mid, maybe even at the high end upper 30s, but I think it'll be somewhere in the mid 30s. I think they'll step up to 5, and I think within a season or two you'll be seeing the 40s.
Tommy?
I think they might have 36.
I was going to say 38.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic towards-
I'd be very happy at 30.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
I'd be happy with somewhere between 36 and 37.
Yeah.
And if I remember this last year, they had lower 30s, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they had 32.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I'm double checking because I thought it was lower 30s.
32, 40, and 10.
So yeah, I would be happy if they moved up to like 36 or 37. Even 38 would make me very happy. I think 35 is probably where I'd have them.
Yeah.
Penguins? Last but not least? Well, least in your mind, I'm sure. But
Yes. 43.
Whew.
I'm going like 40.
I wanted to say 42, but it'll be somewhere between 42 and 44.
I think they'll have 45.
Okay.
That's about it though.
That's fair. I got the optimism in me says 51, but that's just, I'm way too optimistic. I'm a Penguins fan, so.
Yeah,
If
good luck with that.
honestly, if
actually,
Malkin leaves, we'll be a better team.
I think we'll.
hate
It'll
it
be
'cause
like
I'm a huge Malkin fan. He's my favorite player on the Penguins right now, but I think we'll be better off if he leaves because we can retool and get younger players.
I think you'll be at like 44 wins or 43.
we could go after like a Nazem Kadri or something if we.
Screw Nazem Kadri.
No, I mean I get you. He's a very polarizing figure. We could even go after like
Well,
an Evander Kane
and
get all of the polarization.
Okay, all I have to say about Nazem Kadri, this year was not his fault whatsoever. If you get pushed into another goalie, that's not your fault.
No, it
Screw
wasn't
everybody
your
that was
fault.
giving him issue.
That
Yeah.
was bad.
However, every person before that, he is a cheap shot player who's kind of a jerk, just in general. Like
No, I
he cheap
agree.
shots people like every single time.
Oh, I agree.
Screw Nazem Kadri.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what
Blues,
they do.
Blues
if they-
fans, there were
if
so
they
many
don't
better
res-
reasons you could have been upset at Nazem Kadri.
That's fair. It'll be interesting what we do if we don't resign Malkin, and then that'll obviously change how I see things.
Also, giving someone death threats over hockey is the stupidest thing.
Oh, people do it for sports all the time, and it's so bad.
I'm like, what?
Don't be death threatening.
I love Nazem Kadri's comment on that. He was like, for all those people making those comments, you're just wasting your time.
Yeah.
It's like, yep,
Right.
he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He probably gets those on a daily basis
Right.
from other players that he plays against. Like, he doesn't care.
Right.
You're just wasting your breath.
Most of the people who give death threats are mainly just depressed with their own lives. So,
And don't actually mean it.
Yeah, like
Like, if you're going to make a death threat, can it at least be legitimate? Like,
Right.
are you going to be so weak that you're not even going to...
Sam.
I'm just saying, if you're going to be a bad person, can you at least...
Just commit to being a
Just-
bad person.
At least be
Jeez.
good at being bad.
If you want to be a supervillain, be a supervillain. If
Right,
you're
it's not that
then
hard.
shut
Fake
up.
being a supervillain.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Is there anything else you boys want to add?
Hockey is the best sport.
Yes.
I still gotta say that for football, but
Yeah, football,
We'll corrupt him in time.
football's best.
I love football.
Hockey is like, they're tied for me. Football and hockey.
I've
tied.
corrupted him. I'm the reason.
All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, hit the like. If you didn't like it, you can hit the dislike. Doesn't matter to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, not that, we can see them anymore because we're not allowed to see when people.
Oh, I can
hurt
see
people.
them. I can see them.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because you own the channel. Yeah,
Yeah, it's my
Never
channel.
mind.
I
then
can see
you
them.
can
I
feel
will know
free
if you
to
dislike
do
it.
You can
But-
feel free to do it.
Go ahead, dislike. Tell me why I'm dead wrong. Tell me why the Penguins are the worst team in the league. Hit
Or
me
tell
up.
him why the Lightning are definitely
Yeah,
a star-studded team outside
Tell
of
me,
Vasilevsky.
tell me why
and
I'm
he's completely
terrible.
wrong about
That's all
that.
good. I'll take it all. Tell me I'm dead wrong, and see you next week or whenever I end up uploading again.